Hey folks, on the water with Declan Williams this morning, and we are bait fishing. So we're going to be fishing two of the most popular river and estuary baits you can get your hands on. We're going to be talking gear, rigging and techniques to get you hooked up. Stay tuned. Alright, I'm just going to cast. We've got a run out tide. We've anchored the boat. We're in an area where there's a bit of bait and there's a drain, so hopefully a few fish hanging around. And I'm just throwing my cast out to the side of the boat a little and letting it move around, wash around with the current, and hopefully on its way, drifting around with the flow, bumps into a fish, we get a few bites and hopefully get ourselves a hook up. Oh, that's small.
Justin, you're getting eaten already.
Yeah, that's cool. Take it down, buddy.
Doesn't take long for a yabby to get eaten down there.
No.
Oh, here we go.
Me running over, you know.
Little brimbo again.
Little brimbos around. If we're getting too many little brimbos, we might have to move. Why is there so many small? Yeah, I'm getting all the little brim out of the way. Boom, big whiting over there. Especially if you flick up on that bit of edge.
Yeah, I'm up in the shallows.
Yeah. Got him?
Got something.
That sounds a bit better.
Yeah, there's a bit of weight to that thing. He's coming, run off the flat there. Just flick that yabby right up in the shallows. Little brimbo again.
There's a few of them around.
Flying up around the boat.
He's a little bit better though.
Yeah, a little bit better. But if you take the time to get that fresh bait, it doesn't take too long to get eaten down there.
Getting a few nibbles on this longer rod. Yep.
That looks like a better fish.
So we let that rod, watch the rod tip, get a few bites on that rod tip, and we watched the bites, and then we waited for it to go down, and then we whacked it.
We've got all sorts going on
Maybe I
there.
should fish one rod, hey? It's pretty active this morning. Maybe I should have one rod out.
Oh, grab.
Oh yeah, he's got a bit more grunt, this guy.
What do we got? Nice little grunter.
Grunter. He won't be sized, but he's a bit better fish than the
go.
little brim we've been kicking off with.
I've stolen your rod there and
Yeah.
it's been eaten.
No, that's perfect, mate. More the merrier. So grunter, one of the species we'll find flicking yabbies. They love a yabby. Fished up around the weed edges and sand flats. He swallowed that hook, so I'll take a little bit of time. There we go, a bit of mayhem.
I'll chuck that in the rod holder.
This is what can happen when you're fishing multiple baits, especially the old saying is fresh is best when you're fishing bait. So we've got
big
live
tarwine
yabbies
there.
and we've got prawns that we cast at as well. So, tarwine, nice.
Yeah, lovely tarwine.
Yep. We'll get these guys off and get it back in the water.
See these guys occasionally on the lure, but a bit of fresh bait and you'll see a hell of a lot more of them. Beautiful little tarwine there. Chuck him back and we'll figure out what's on this other one here. He's fallen off.
Probably just a big whiting or something.
Yeah, just a big whiting. I think 2 rods might be the go. Oh, bitten off. What has happened there?
Big green sea toad.
Yeah, but it's all scuffed up. I wonder if something ate the creature that I had on there.
That was a flatty. Well, there you go, a bit of mayhem. 3 baits in the water, 3 hookups, and a variety of species there. So tarwine, grunter, we'll get brim, whiting. A stack of different species love a yabby. So this is probably one of my favourite river and estuary baits, the saltwater yabby. We pump them on the sand flats on the lower stages of the tide and then keep changing their water regularly to keep them nice and lively like this guy here. There is an old debate, this claw. Do we leave the claw on or do we take the claw off? So I know guys that like to leave the claw on. They reckon they get a better quality fish with this guy wielding this weapon around, so it chases a bit of the small stuff away. Whereas I know a lot of people that will take the claw off. So I tend to take the claw off. The claw makes a cool bit of burley to throw out there to attract fish. And then we get our yabby and we just feed him on like we would feed on a prawn or a worm. So in through the tail section and just let that slide through the body of the yabby. And then I like to push the head section on. So some people will leave the head section hanging and expose the hook, tie a half hitch around the tail. I push the head of the yabby on and that kind of locks everything in place. Your first few bites will take the head, the tail will slide down where you want it to be right near the bend of the hook. The fish will come back and clean up and get that bit. So I'll watch the rod, get a few little bites, and as it gets more aggressive, I'll set the hook. So let's get this guy in the water, get ourselves a fish. Oh, on, that's better.
There we go. Going right up in the shallows there. Good head nod. Oh, and I pulled hooks. Felt like a really good fish.
That felt like a little.
Right.
Big whiting.
Ow. Right, we've got another big yabby here. There's a big nipper. Let's thread him on, chuck him back out, and hopefully I can hook whatever that creature was again.
On.
I think I was just sitting on that thing there. I think this might be a flatty. Oh, I don't know. Bit of weight there. Oh, tail one again. Slightly rounder head. It's the main giveaway for the tail wine. A little bit rounder head. You'll see those little stripes down this flank there. Takes all of my strength not to hit this thing to begin with. There we go. Let him get that yabby right down, and then as the little LRF rod tip loads up, we hit him. A bit of weight there.
All right, Declan had a bite off on this rod here, so I've taken the old leader off. I'm going to put some new leader on and another hook. It's cool to have a few different rods rigged in the boat so that if you do get on a hot bite and get a bite off or two, you can just grab another rod and keep fishing. So this reel, I've spooled it up. I've kept the line here that was left that didn't fit on the reel, and I'm going to be using that as my trace material. So rather than keep shortening the line that's on your reel by chopping pieces off for leader, we can just use this, keep it in our kit there, pull it out and cut off what we need as a leader each time when we're re-rigging. So that'll save you replacing your line. I like to replace my line every couple of years anyway, but that'll save you when it comes to chopping leader from your reel. Righto, let's get it rigged and get it out there. All right, those yabbies are getting picked to pieces a bit. We're getting a lot of little critters here, so I'm just going to try one of our prawns. So these guys were cast net, so nice and fresh from the local system. The head I'm going to pull off and throw into the water. Great burley trail creator. I'm also going to take off the leg section of the prawn, so I'm going to peel half of the prawn and leave the tail intact. People will rig them different ways, so some people will leave the head on, leave them whole, tie a half hitch around the tail. I like to leave the tail on and then use a half hitch around that tail, but peel the first half of the prawn, making it nice and soft and attractive for the fish to eat. Some people will peel the whole prawn. There's no right or wrong way. Just find what works for you in your area that you're fishing. A little half hitch around the tail will help to hold that prawn in place on the hook, and that is a beautiful little bait there, ready to go out, ready to get eaten. A few little nibbles on the prawn. We're anchored on a nice edge here, so the idea is that there's, whoa, there we go, that was a bit more aggressive. Hopefully he comes back and cleans up what's left of that prawn. Yep, there we go.
That's a good looking fish.
Oh, he liked that green prawn. Beautiful bait. Plenty of prawns in the system at the moment, so makes the prawn a good bait option. Oh, he's shrinking a bit as he gets to the boat. The culprit is another little bream, but there you go. That's the fresh prawn getting the eat. He's a handful of bream. He'd be getting close to legal, but not a legal fish if you were chasing a feed. But you can see that prawn's sitting in place nicely there. That tail section's still tied there, but the soft bit's the bit that he's eaten.
Oh, big crab.
A bit better there.
Crab. There's Mr. Mud Crab on the surface, I think it is.
We'll get a net under him.
Is it a crab? It looks like it. What is that?
It looks like a blue swimmer.
Oh, I just felt a little bit of weight on that rod there, so I've just slowly wound up, and there's a crab. There's plenty of crabs in the system at the moment.
I'm still trying to get my bream off.
We'll get a net under
Throw
him.
my bream back in the water.
Get a net under him
He
because
can hang out, and we'll get a net under this crab.
it's a good blue swimmer.
We just got to keep him in the water. Do you want to go up, walk up along the boat a bit, Dex? Just so
Yeah.
you can get in, you can keep him in the water there. Looks like a nice blue sand crab, doesn't it?
Ooh.
In the net. Those guys don't mind eating a yabby or a prawn as well. That's a pretty cool capture.
Yeah. He's actually hooked in the mouth, so that's why he didn't fall off. There's been a bit of rain, so there's a bunch of these crabs running around. So it's always worth, when you feel that bit of weight there, just to wind him in slowly, and there's a fair chance you'll get yourself a crab to chuck in the esky as well.
And that one's a buck.
Yep, it's a buck. Got the sharper triangle underneath there, the bigger claws. We'll chuck a measure on him and see if he's legal, because I wouldn't mind a crab sandwich for dinner.
There he is.
There we go.
There he is, that's the one.
There's a good creature. That's the bite you want. Just
That's the one
rip
to eat
it.
it. Yeah.
What did that guy eat? Prawn?
Yeah, that was a prawn flicked
Yep.
right in on the edge of those mangroves there.
Nice grunter.
It's a better grunt to that one.
Net for you?
That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of rain, so there's a fair bit of dirty water. These guys don't mind the dirty water. That's a spotted or silver grunter, and he's eating that prawn. So that's a fresh prawn, cast netted that prawn. You can see there, he's scoffed that, he's inhaled it. So a little handful of grunter, good fun. They fight nice, those guys, good hard pulling fish. So we'll pop the hook out of him and we'll send him on his way. Hopefully he gets a bit bigger. Yes, that's better. They're the takes you like, Dak, when he just smashes
It looks long. It's a whiting.
it. You beauty.
Well, it'll take us a little while to find one of these guys, but that
Is beautiful fish.
is a beautiful whiting feeding on that little bit of run-in tide. Beautiful whiting. Little long shank hook's pinned him there, and he's just smashed that little yabby. Hello, beautiful little guy, and we'll chuck him in the esky. Oh, there we go.
That was a bit better. Oh, what do you this? I've got my fingers crossed it's a whiting, not a brimbo, but I don't know, we'll see. Nice soft rod tip.
Brimbo.
Not what we were looking for. He certainly ate it well. A few nice little taps and then down the rod went. Handful of bream, we'll get him back in the water. That tide started to pick up the run a little bit as it starts to run in, and that's firing the fish up a bit. They're feeding pretty well. I just thought I'd take a second to have a closer look at the rig that we're running. So we've got a long shank hook on here, bloodworm style of long shank hook, which is perfect for our yabbies and our prawns. And we're just fishing a short leader. So I normally fish around 30 to 60 centimeters of leader, just to a small rolling swivel. So that's a small rolling swivel, ball bearing style swivel, which is excellent for stopping line twist. And then we've got a sinker running above that. So with the running sinker rig, what it means is we can flick that out, and when we get bites, we can easily feel those bites as the line moves through the sinker, and also the fish aren't feeling the resistance of this sinker because that line's running freely through it. So that gives the leader gives the bait a bit of room to move around, and the fish can feed without resistance. We feel the bites, the fish don't feel us on the other end, and hopefully they take that rod tip down and we get the hook set. All right, there's an old saying, structure is king. When we're fish lures, we often look for key structure. It's the same when we're bait fishing. So we're on the edge of a flat, we've got weed edges, we've got a bit of a drain. So again, we're looking for structure. Fish will often hold in an area because of structure, whether it gives them current breaks, ambush points, or it attracts bait, which in turn attracts predators. So remember that key structure: weed edges, drains, mangrove edges, rock bars. All those areas are worth targeting when you're bait fishing. All right, you've seen by the fishing that we're doing today that these rods that we're using have got a nice soft tip, and they call that a slow taper in the rod. The rod bends down much further than the rods that we use when we're lure fishing. They're a more fast action, more responsive rod because we want to impart action on that lure, drive that lure around and set those hooks when we get those little taps. When we're bait fishing, we want the fish to eat the bait. So we're using nylon lines, monofilament lines that have plenty of stretch in them. Oh, that one's stuck, I think. We're using nylon monofilament lines, and we're using soft tip rods. We want the fish to be able to eat that bait. So you'll see us, we watch the rod tip, we watch those subtle bites, and as they start to load up more, we'll set the hook on the fish. So there's three main models of rod that we're using today. We're using Okuma rods, excellent value for money, and we're running Barbarian, Barbarian Pro, and LRF Gen 2s. So the Barbarian Pro, easy to identify, it's got that white tip section, beautiful soft rod. They're extremely good value for money. So if you're just getting into your fishing, you want to have a crack at bait fishing, that Barbarian is a great rod. The blue tip rod here is our Barbarian Pro, so that's a step up in guides to sea guide guides. And then the LRF Gen 2 is definitely a favourite. It's a really light rod. This is a 7'4" that we're fishing here, and they've all got UFR technology in the tip. So basically the tip section of the rod has long strands of graphite in there that gives you more lifting power, sensitivity, and allows you to turn those bigger fish. So if you're looking for a bait fishing rod, remember you want that nice soft tip action. We fish generally rods that are 7 foot through to about 9 foot, but you will see people in boats still fishing rods up to around that 10 foot, 10 foot 6, where they want to get that angle down and let that tip do the work. So check out that Barbarian, Barbarian Pro, and that LRF Gen 2 if you want to get stuck into a few fish on bait. Hopefully we're about to get stuck into this bloke here. Righto, take it down, buddy. So you can see those nice soft tip doing its job there. We're getting the taps, and then we're going to set the hook on this guy. There we go. That's our Barbarian Pro hooked up to a fish. When we are bait fishing, one important consideration is fishing line. So a lot of people don't think about the line that they're using, but you've probably all experienced those cheap combos that have cheap line on there. It's a really stiff, wiry line, and it's like a slinky. So it doesn't cast well, it doesn't lay well on the reel, it cannot easily, and you don't feel those bites as well. So get rid of those cheap monofilament lines that you're running. Get yourself a decent quality Australian made line from Platypus. So popular lines in our range for bait fishing like this, bread and butter bait fishing, Super 100, Platinum, and my favourite, which is Pulse Mono. So Pulse Mono, you can see there, it's not coiling up like a slinky. There's very little memory in that. It's nice and soft, so it lays well on the reel. It casts long, you can feel the bites, and the other thing with it is excellent knot strength. Some of those cheaper lines will let you down in terms of knots. So important to spool your reel with decent quality line, like those Australian made lines from Platypus. We fish about an 8 pound through to 12 pound line when we're doing this type of fishing. Sometimes a heavier leader if it's predominantly flathead tailor and other species. Otherwise we can just run that same line as our leader, or we run a specific leader material which is harder, more abrasion resistant, and that's Platypus Hard Armour leader. So remember, when you're spooling up, this is what connects you to the fish. So spool up with a decent quality monofilament line. In terms of reels for bread and butter bait fishing like we're doing today, you don't need to spend $1 million, that's for sure. A couple of favourites that we use are the Okuma Jaw and the Okuma Ceymar HD. So the Jaw is a great entry-level reel. You can easily recognise it from the bright orange highlights on here. So business in the front, party in the back. They're a great little reel. And then the Ceymar HD if you're wanting to step up to a bit smoother, lighter reel, a few more bearings and that sort of thing in there. So these reels won't set you back a lot, and we generally fish around a 2500 to 3000 size reel on the 7-foot rods. And then when we step up to those 9-foot or a bit longer, we'll step up to a 4000 or 5000 size reel. So there you go, there's a couple of reels to get you started in your bait fishing. Oh yeah. That's
nice whiting.
That's what we're looking for. That is a beautiful fish.
Want a net under him, or you're right?
That's
lovely.
What we came for. We've had a good, fun session today. We haven't got the size of fish that we've wanted, but when you've got a yabby or a prawn in the water, you've got a chance of getting a nice big whiting like that one. So I hope you've enjoyed our session today on the water. Got a few tips there on how to get hooked up on some bait fishing. Yabbies and prawns, 2 deadly baits, catch a mixed bag of species. Bit of fun, Deck.
Yeah,
we've caught a lot of fish. We just haven't got the size, but that's a beautiful whiting to finish with. Get out there, get stuck into them, fish on.